going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Last week's video, we did a bunch of fab work, chop top on the 31. I'm not going to do a bunch of talking, just going to get right to work. Got a body drop it, did some more thinking on it, on how I'm going to get this running board on the ground, and we're going to channel the cab over the frame some to get it down. And but first off, I guess what I'm going to do is get this bed to sit right. As you guys know, this is a aftermarket chassis, and that's a factory bed, so they don't work together. So I got to modify some stuff, cut some brackets to get the bed to sit where it's going to sit, where then I can know where I want my cab to sit. So I'm going to throw you guys on time lapse. I'm going to get the wood and all that stuff out of the bed so I can have better access to see what's going on, and do whatever we got to do to get that bed to sit down where it's going to be. And then I'm going to start pulling out the seat frame and all that stuff so I can start getting this thing channeled, and we can finally see just how awesome this thing's going to look. So let's go. I don't know if you guys can tell, but that bed is much better now. It come down, I'd say, between 4 and 6 inches. That was just off of cutting things that were in the way of it sitting down. Get the wood out of the way. The wood hits on the shock mounts and all that stuff, or did. It doesn't anymore. Obviously, it's out of there. So, but it come down a lot. You can tell even where the fender bolts did. It's not too much over that tire. That tire is like 25 inches tall. We're probably going to run a 27 to 28 inch tire to take a little bit of gearing out of the truck, because it's going to make a lot of power. And it don't have a really steep gear, but it's got enough gear that with the power, it's going to be a smoke show no matter what you do. So we're going to run a taller tire to take some of that gear out of it. So by the time we stuff another tire that gains us a 1.5 inch or so height on the top, and bottom, it's going to fill that wheel well up really nice. So I like where the bed's at. The front mounts are close enough where I'll fab those up to work on the frame. The middle cross member, there's 2 of them. The front one is sitting on the frame, so that's gonna be nice, easy way to bolt the bed to the frame there. And then I'll figure out a mount for the back. So it's pretty close too, but I'll figure out a way to mount it. But I'm close enough on the bed where I know that's about where it's gonna be. So on the mock-up stage on that, I'm like, maybe it might come down about another. Actually, it probably won't come down at all. But I say there's about an 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch clearance in there, but there'll be a rubber isolator in there. So really, that's about where the bed's going to sit. It's about right there, which looks really good. It's going to be close to the ground where I want it. So next thing, I'm going to pull the. Actually, I'll probably leave the bed on for now, but I'm going to start going in here and pulling out this seat pan, the floor, anything I need to get out of the way to be able to channel that cab down. I'm going to obviously have to cut a big notch out of the back of the cab at the bottom. These are how all the newer trucks, 70s were like that, 80s, they had a cab corner, and then it would have like a notch stepped up, I'll show you guys, all the way across where it would actually sit over top of the frame. And instead of this being on top of the frame, it's gonna sit down over it too. The bed it's gonna be kind of different for this truck compared to most Model A builds I've seen, where they might channel all of it or whatever. The bed is gonna sit on top of the frame where it's at. I'm gonna channel the cab to where we get away from that tall cab and short bed look. I want it to be proportionate. So I want the truck cab to come down now about between 3 and 4 inches, to where the top of the cab to the bed, the profile is good. I know it might be hard to see on camera, but if I could get that down 3 to 4 inches, it's gonna look killer on the bed, and that's gonna put my running board on the ground, and it's just gonna look really tough like that. So I'm gonna get in here, start pulling everything out, everything I gotta get out of the cab out, and then we'll work on get the thing channeled over the frame and see what we can do. All right, guys, quick update. I've got pretty much everything out of the floor that needs to come out, aside from over here. I've got to trim that, as you can see, all the way down, because it's not going to mount here on top anymore. It's going to come down and make a mount on the side, which I'll show you guys. And then I'm to the point back here where I can cut over to the cab, and then I pull the bed off, and basically I'm going to come up here, channel the body all the way over, for this cab will sit right down on the frame. So I'll throw you guys on the time lapse, and we can get that done and finally see this thing sitting down and start playing with it, with the bed and the cab on, and go from there. All right, guys, so we got that down there clearance. Up here in the front, it's still holding on. That's why the whole thing won't come down. But I guess we'll block this back up here in the back, and then we'll start cutting on the front, make clearance, and then we'll have the whole thing drop down. And just looking at it here, this is gonna lower this cab like crazy. So we're definitely going the right direction. We'll block up the back, clearance the front, and then we'll drop the cab down and start throwing the bed on and seeing what we got. All right, just like that, guys. Got everything mocked up here. Spent a few hours and did some chopping, some cutting, some figuring some things out. As you can tell, the way I ended that last video, I wanted the running board on the ground, and it, I don't know, 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch in the front, and the back is going to be a little bit lower. It's clamped to that fender right now. It will come down a little bit more, and also too, the fender's a little bit higher, just how it's mocked up, than the where it bolts to the bed, so it'll all come down a little bit more. This is just mock up. I just want to make sure my channel, I'm low enough, to my bed back here where I want to be. This is just all mock up. So this filler panel in between the cab and the running board is going to be obviously modified a lot. It already kind of is. I did quite a bit of cutting on it, but it used to mount on top of the frame, like it would sandwich in between the frame and the cab. It's not going to anymore. It's just going to bolt to the bottom of the cab now. Same with the fender. The fender used to bolt to the top of the frame. Now it's going to bolt to the bottom of the frame, basically just channeling the cab and everything forward down, to where it makes, basically gets the running board on the ground like I wanted, and it makes the cab to the bed look right. I mean, these things always look funny. They're way tall. So with the chop, taking 2 inches out of the roof, and then taking 4 inch channel, we've lowered the cab 6 inches in relative to the bed. So that's exactly what I was looking for, what the customer's looking for on that. And then the gap back there in the fender to the bed, where that fender's at is basically mimicking where it's gonna be. Those fenders, rear fenders, are gonna get split in half, widened out, and it's gonna be about like that, to where the factory, this filler panel between the cab and the running board would have been in a lot more, to where the fender would have been forward to the bed. So I just pulled it out some, where actually I think it looks better. It actually follows the shape of the cab, and then that also gets us wide enough for our rear fender. So this is the stance I was looking for, and the running boards make it look way lower than it really is. Our trans cross member it's still 6 inches off the ground right now, even with it laid all the way out as far as it is. So whenever it comes time to put air in the suspension to actually drive it, you're gonna have a ton of ground clearance. The engine's gonna have a ton of ground clearance. The transmission, the driveline, everything's gonna have a ton of clearance. It just looks so low because we've got almost a foot down of body past the frame. So it makes it look really low, even though the chassis itself really isn't that low. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. It's going to ride good, be very usable. It's going to look crazy because the body comes down so low. So the next thing we're going to do, and that's going to be in the next video, is going to be I'm going to start building a floor. The tubing part of it, it's going to be 1 by 2 inch, and then the crossing is going to be 1 by 3 inch tubing, steel tubing, and then I'll start building the floor, to actually, solidly mount the cab, and then we'll start doing our tubing work on the inside of the cab. So, that'll be the next thing in the videos, and also I'll have to tackle something else hard to explain, but right now the cab is a little bit farther back on the frame than where it's going to be. It's actually going to be like another inch and a half forward when it's actually finally mounted, because it's got to work. The hood's got to be a certain, it's all got to work together. So when the cab actually ends up where it's going to be, and the bed's where it's at, there's like a 2-inch gap factory, like how they were made, from the cab, the back of the cab, to the front of the bed. That's not going to work for us. It's got to be way nicer, closer than that. So I'm going to split the cab in half, and I'm going to extend the cab back to make up for that gap, which is going to help us in a lot of ways. It's going to help us with a little bit more leg clearance. When you're actually sitting in the truck, put your legs out. It's going to help with clearance there. I'll be able to make my seat a little bit thicker for better comfort inside. And really, you won't notice that it's that much. It ain't gonna look like it's like stretched, And all it's gonna take is, I've already got to add on to my sheet metal roof, the skin. So I'll just, instead of adding the 1/2 inch, I'll just add the 1.5 inches, 2 inches, wherever it's got to be, and then add on to my rocker down here. Just split the rocker and add a couple inches into the rocker. It's really not going to be that big a deal to move that cab. And then also, the doors already need a crazy bit of modification. Like, they're going to be chopped down for the height, and obviously they're going to need the width figured out, because I want them to fit flush. So either way, they would need a lot of work. So which we'll tackle that way later on, the doors. But so yeah, I'm gonna end this video here, I guess, what I'm getting at. And then the next video is going to be working on the actual cab structure inside, because I can't do doors or anything like that until the cab structure is done and the cab is mounted on the frame where it's going to go and all that stuff. So that'll be the next video, and then we'll just keep rolling. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm really excited about this build. We've got some crazy exciting news coming for this thing, of potential where the truck might end up, some shows and stuff like that. So keep following along if you guys are liking this, and we appreciate all the eyes on it. It's really exciting to be able to be a part of something like this. So yeah, I appreciate it, and we'll keep working on it. You guys keep watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.